Tonight, wild weather across the city, but the show must go on.
Everyone's super excited.
Shania Twain headlines tonight's lineup at Bluesfest as the music festival provides an economic boost right across the city. The scorching heat wasn't enough to stop these runners.
Can't go as fast as you want, but you can still try to have fun.
A record-breaking turnout for the Hintenburg 5K race despite a heat warning from Environment Canada. And Canada's top young track and field athletes converge on Ottawa.
That allows athletes to come in, compete at a high level with athletes that are their same age.
The country's next generation of Olympic hopefuls put their skills to the test to take the next leap in their athletic careers. Well, it has been a wild weather kind of day here in Ottawa once again. We had beautiful sunny conditions to start the day. Sunscreen, a necessity for those out and about enjoying what the city has to offer. And then take a look at this, sped up obviously, but not by too much. Torrential rain coming into the capital. We had thunder, lightning, massive raindrops coming down, had people searching for cover, and you can see the rain coming down sideways in the Byward Market. The storm sent people running for cover, or others just simply accepting defeat and getting soaked. Good evening and thank you for joining us. The weather is throwing a wrench into some people's plans tonight, but the biggest event in the city is still going ahead as planned. It's day 4 of Bluesfest, and tonight Canadian superstar Shania Twain is taking to the main stage. CTV's Natalie Van Roy is standing by at Le Breton Flats, and Natalie, Bluesfest not only entertaining but also a big economic driver for the city.
That's right, Austin. This is the biggest festival that the city hosts every year, and it means so much to the businesses that surround Le Breton Flats. I spoke to a number of those businesses today, and they're excited for that economic boost. It brings in millions, and with tonight's headliner being Shania Twain, it's going to be a big night. At this Korean restaurant in Ottawa's Little Italy, the Bluesfest crowd bringing in more business.
Yesterday was so busy, and we usually expected that busy, but I think this time is more.
Crowds wanting to grab a bite before heading to the show, which will host around 250,000 people throughout the festival.
Our chicken is very popular these days.
Ottawa's Mayor Mark Sutcliffe says Bluesfest generates $40 million in economic impact each year.
We definitely have a lot of reservations before the artists go on. Maybe like late lunch, early dinner, a lot of families, everyone dresses up, it's really fun.
At Umbrella Bar, the crowds come in before the show.
The other day I had 2 little girls that had a full face of makeup, and they're wearing cowboy hats and cowboy boots. Everyone's super excited.
Whether it's for a drink or a bite.
I just hung out with some friends beforehand, and then we just went to Bluesfest and had some drinks there.
We're so excited to be here, hang out. And it's clear that local businesses are welcoming the revenue.
It is summer, so everyone is outside, but definitely it is busier during this period. Especially yesterday, the rush was like around 4 p.m. to like 9, 10 p.m. People just kept coming in. It was really crazy.
Staff at Mexicali Rosas know how to prepare for the dinner rush before the show. The longtime Mexican spot has hosted pre-music festival crowds for years. And this year marks the 31st year for the city's largest music festival.
Seeing that it's increasing the amount of people who are coming before Bluesfest, so some of them come for a nice margarita or a little bite to eat before they're going to the concert.
And I'm joined here by Joe Riley, who is the media spokesperson for the Bluesfest Festival. And Joe, you've been doing this for many years. What can you tell people that they can expect for tonight's show?
Tonight we got lucky. There was a torrential rain earlier, and we battened everything down here to keep everything dry and ready to roll for production. And the stuff that's coming this evening is going north and south of this part of the city, so we're lucky. And everything's ready to go. So come on down and be part of the fun.
As usual tonight, nothing's been canceled.
Nothing has been canceled, nothing's postponed. We're on schedule right now.
And you heard from my report that the economic impact is huge for Ottawa with this festival. What does that mean?
Well, we take it very seriously that we are part of the community and an important part of the economic community. We're a driver at this time of year in Ottawa for sure. We know that we have economic impact from people coming down, spending money in downtown Ottawa, and also the visitors, people who come from out of town. We do a great job of reaching out to surrounding communities communities and upstate New York and making sure people know we're happening and drawing people to the city, and that's all beneficial, especially for the tourism sector here and also just for the the downtown core for sure.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Joe, for joining us during the show. And you heard that it's going to be business as usual tonight and a beautiful night for the show. I'll throw it back to you, Austin.
And we know a lot of people that are going to be there for that concert. CTV's Natalie Van Roy reporting live for us tonight. Natalie, thank you for this. Well, runners at the annual Hintenburg 5K came ready to run and to try to stay as cool as possible as well as the city continues under that heat warning. CTV's Kimberly Johnson now on how they prepped and advice on how to avoid heat-related health issues. Apologies for the technical issues there. We will return to our coverage of the Hintenburg 5K in a short period. Thousands of people, meantime, living in the city's West End were without power for a brief period this afternoon. Hydro Ottawa says some 30,000 customers in Carling, Richmond and Nepean were impacted by a power outage earlier today. The situation was resolved at around 2:30, and the utility provider says the cause of the outage was due to a loss of power from the provincial grid. So again, the big story here is the weather. This, what you're seeing here behind me, was shot earlier in the day before the clouds blocked out the sun and the rain started coming down in buckets. What can we expect here over the next little while? Well, we can expect the showers potentially to return at some point this evening. Right now, we're sitting at 24 degrees. Our daily high was 31, so it was another scorcher. Again, the heat is the story. Tonight's low, just 20 degrees here in Ottawa, same with Kingston and Trenton. Remarkably, pretty significant swing in Bancroft. Clear evening over there. They're expecting about 13 as the low tonight. 16 is the low tonight in Gatineau. That same chance of showers and potential for thunderstorms there on the Quebec side. Tomorrow's high, beautiful sunny conditions and another hot one. 31 is the high to start our work week. Same goes for Gatineau and Kemptville at 30 degrees. A mix of sun and cloud in Montreal with a high of 27. The Ontario Provincial Police has charged a boater with several offences after a passenger fell overboard and died. It happened on West Lemcoon Lake in the township of Addington Highlands. Police were called out at around 7:45 Saturday morning, and just over 12 hours later, they recovered the body of a 22-year-old man from Toronto. The driver, a 21-year-old man, also from Toronto, is charged with 4 offences, including dangerous operation causing death and operating while impaired. And the OPP is reminding people of the importance of marine safety. This after receiving about a dozen marine incident calls yesterday alone. Boaters and paddlers are reminded that alcohol or drug impairment, operator inexperience, and not wearing a life jacket are among the main factors in marine injuries and deaths. Police are also advising people to make sure they check the weather forecast and ensure that their vessel is functioning and well equipped before heading out on the water. To Morrisburg now, where people were told to shelter in place earlier today for about 2 hours this morning because of an armed individual in that community. The Ontario Provincial Police says officers were called out to Lakeshore Drive and Augusta Street near the Morrisburg boat launch. That was at around 4:30 a.m. Police then shot a man with a less lethal anti-riot weapon, as they describe it, before taking him into custody. The suspect was then transported to hospital. There's no word on the extent of his injuries or any potential charges, and the Ontario Special Investigations Unit has now taken over this investigation. Returning now to Quadville, where residents expressed frustration and gratitude at a police-hosted town hall to address questions and concerns just yesterday. It comes after a young girl was attacked and taken to CHEO with life-threatening injuries last month. A 17-year-old boy arrested earlier this week, and he's now facing multiple charges. CTV's Josh Morano reports.
It revealed that there was no animal DNA.
A community hoping to get some answers after a devastating tragedy.
The last 2 weeks have just kind of been up and down, of like finding out what happened and what really happened and speculation.
On Saturday, Ontario Provincial Police holding a town hall in Quadville to update residents about what happened to a young girl.
The impact is not just felt within a close circle, it's felt by everybody in this community.
It was first suspected that an animal attack is what resulted in the 8-year-old girl being airlifted to CHEO with life-threatening injuries. Traps were set out and community members urged to keep children inside.
If we didn't say something and warn people and it was an animal and another child was attacked, that would be horrible.
But earlier this week, investigators confirmed no animal was involved in the attack and charged a 17-year-old boy with attempted murder and sexual assault with a weapon.
We could not rule it out at the start. Investigators, in consultation with all of these experts, could not rule out that it was an animal attack.
Police providing residents as much detail as they could during this ongoing investigation at Saturday's town hall.
I'm very happy that they were able to come out here and do it. There wasn't very many questions, not very many they could answer due to the case, but I think it went well, and I'm very happy.
There's always been questions about why they did what they did, but I can feel rest assured that moving forward, they're always looking after us.
This small community now focused on trying to heal.
There is a whole lot of healing that's going to have to take place. I think we can agree on that. And in a small community, you have that ability to support each other.
After the arrest, it felt like that mystery was gone, and unfortunately, it just wasn't what any of us was really expecting to be the outcome. So now I think the community is just trying to deal with the next steps.
Counselors will be brought in at the community church Sunday, offering support to anyone who needs it. Josh Morano, CTV News, Quadville.
And you can scan the QR code at the bottom of your screen to link to us online or visit ctvnewsottawa.ca. We do have more details on that investigation in Quadville. You can download the CTV News app right now. Just download, or rather scan that QR code on your screen using your smartphone. Well, returning now to our coverage of the annual Hintenburg 5K. And again, apologies for those technical issues, but CTV's Kimberly Johnson has a recap.
It's hot outside, even for marathon runner Andrew Deek.
That was definitely hot. It's the same as last year. I feel like all these races get a little bit hotter every year.
The Chelsea, Quebec-based runner has taken on the Boston Marathon and says after winning this 5K in just under 16 minutes, the weather was a challenge.
You can't go as fast as you want, but you can still try to have fun. You just really suffer by the end, and you just want to jump in a lake or a pool. But otherwise, yeah, super fun.
A heat warning still in place across much of Ontario and Quebec Sunday. But the 17th annual Hintenburg 5K and 1K kids race didn't miss a step, with runners coming prepared.
Yeah, a lot of water for sure.
This teenage runner ready with a water bottle belt for her first ever 5K race.
It's really easy. I really like how I'm going to just grab my water. It's not like on me, so it's not weighing me down. I find it really convenient just with my water bottles, and I can freeze them overnight, which is great for the ice.
Today is a fun run day. Take your time, walk, drink some water.
This is how you cool off. It's great.
Ottawa Public Health says to protect yourself as the temperature hovers in the high numbers. Stay cool. That includes accessing air conditioning, a fan, or finding shade. Drink water and avoid heavy outdoor activities. And wear a hat as well as light, loose-fitting clothing.
If you see that things are getting a little rough for you, it's okay to stop and walk. I see that a lot of runners who will stop and walk instead of trying to push it too hard, especially on a day like today, but mostly stay hydrated and stay aware.
450 people registered in the 5K run and another 400 in the kids' 1K run. A record-breaking year. It's the first time the event has ever sold out. More than 2,000 glasses of water handed out, according to volunteers. Those here not trying to outrun the heat.
But it's just so great to have something so close to home to get the kids into running.
Kimberly Johnson, CTV News.
High school athletes from across the country have converged on Ottawa, competing at the Canadian Track and Field League trials this afternoon, giving them an opportunity to compete against people in their age category. It's a fierce competition. CTV's Camille Wilson was there and joins us now with more. Camille.
Austin, they are runners, they are track stars, and these talented high schoolers are pushing themselves to make it to the next level. The ultimate goal, earning a spot in an elite league. Darius Edwards taking the gold for the grade 12 boys 110-meter hurdles at the Canadian Track and Field League race.
I am feeling amazing. I just love the height that you get after a race, and I just love being on the track, running with my friends, creating new experiences. I just love it all.
Hundreds of high school athletes from across the nation between grades 9 and 12 showing off their personal best. The CTFL is the world's first track and field league of its kind, training young professionals and helping them build their own brand.
First, I feel extremely grateful because we never get meets as big in Canada, and I feel like it's a huge opportunity for Canadian elites.
The grade 11 and 12 winners are competing for a spot in the Canadian Track and Field League, where they will have a chance to run against Olympic athletes. Edwards says he started running in grade 9 and owes a lot of his success to his coaches.
They have always pushed me to keep going harder, keep going stronger. So I think honestly just the community within track is one of the best things out here. Makes you feel so loved and together. I don't know how to explain it.
For Kayla Devine, it's her mom that's kept her on track.
Here we go. This is our fastest athlete.
I love running because it makes me closer to my mom. My mom also was running, and I feel like it gives us like something in common.
It gives them a lot of opportunity to then race and have good competition around them. So we have athletes coming from across the country, so from BC all the way to Nova Scotia. So it allows athletes to come in, compete at a high level with athletes that are their same age.
I really love running because it keeps me healthy, and I'm always doing better than what I did last time.
And these kids have some big dreams.
I'd like to be able to represent Canada in the meet one day.
I'm looking to further my track training and to possibly travel to the States for track.
The league is composed of 280 top athletes from across Canada, with the best winning $45,000 in cash money every season, and the top 40 commonly found in the Canadian national team. Austin.
Okay, CTV's Camille Wilson reporting live for us tonight. Camille, thank you very much for this. Well, the drug Ozempic, initially made to combat diabetes, it became a blockbuster weight loss drug with many Hollywood stars endorsing the product. But the manufacturer's patent is set to expire in Canada in a few months, and that opens the door to other companies to make and sell generic versions of the drug here. CTV's Kamal Karamali now on concerns from some Canadian doctors.
It became known as the weight loss drug sweeping Hollywood. Ozempic, meant to treat diabetes, instead became one of the hottest ways to lose weight. With already over 1 million users in Canada, according to its manufacturer, the biggest barrier remains the price, costing hundreds of dollars a month. Now it may become more affordable and even more accessible by next year.
There's a certain time period in which the patent then expires, and other pharmaceutical companies can make like drugs.
Semaglutide, known under the brand names Ozempic and Wegovy, are made and sold by pharma company Novo Nordisk. But the Canadian patent for those drugs is set to expire in January, opening semaglutide to other companies who can sell generic versions at a fraction of the cost.
So when it goes generic, it will obviously become more available to people because the cost will be down, and there will be more of the drug for people to access.
Multiple companies have so far applied to Health Canada for approval to make a generic semaglutide drug, including Hims and Hers. The American telehealth company says it'll offer Canadians access to lower-cost treatment options through its digital platform, with the drug expected to be available at a significant discount. But there are concerns people could abuse the system.
I think my real worry is that if you start getting into a situation where online clinics are handing out these prescriptions willy-nilly to anybody who pays their, $50 processing fee.
The drug's manufacturer, Novo Nordisk, says even though its exclusivity for this product is ending, it'll continue to, quote, support people living with diabetes or obesity. Kamal Karamali, CTV News, Toronto.
Every country is now paying substantially more money.
After the break, looking ahead to a meeting between NATO's Secretary General and U.S. President Donald Trump. We'll be right back. Before we go to break, here's a live look now through our Centennial Glass Skycam. It has cooled down a bit, 24 degrees out there right now.
Get the latest live local breaking news. Sign up now for our morning and evening CTV News Ottawa newsletter. The best local content from CTV News, CTV Morning Live, and News Talk 580 CFRA. Get it all in one place. Sign up now at ctvnewsottawa.ca. The CTV News Ottawa newsletter is brought to you in part by CAA Business.
Provincial police in Quebec say an SUV carrying between 10 and 12 undocumented migrants crashed near the U.S. border early this morning.
At least 6 of the passengers fled the scene on foot and are believed to be illegal immigrants.
A search is now underway for an unknown number of migrants who fled after the crash near Hemmingford. That's about an hour south of Montreal. The driver of the second vehicle, a 48-year-old American man, was arrested for impaired driving and is facing questions from authorities. The RCMP is now investigating. Well, after deadly floods swept through central Texas, more challenging weather is pausing the search for those still missing.
We're not out of the woods yet, not to mention that the recovery zone area there along that river is 121 miles. So it is a very massive undertaking.
The historic July 4th flash flood killed at least 129 people and dozens of others are still unaccounted for. Search crews have been ordered to immediately evacuate the Guadalupe River corridor until further notice due to a heightened risk of flash flooding. Local fire officials say search and rescue efforts are expected to resume Monday. And firefighters from the Czech Republic are headed to Texas to assist in those search efforts. They set off from the military airport in Prague, passing through the U.S. Air Base in Germany. Well, it was a year ago today that Donald Trump survived an assassination attempt on the campaign trail. This dramatic scene moments after a bullet grazed Trump's ear. He raised his fist to his crowd of supporters, his face bloodied as he tells them to fight. One supporter was killed and the 20-year-old suspected shooter was shot dead by law enforcement. NATO's Secretary General is set to meet with Donald Trump in Washington starting tomorrow as a plan for Ukraine weapon sales takes shape. Mark Rutte will meet with the president and his secretaries of state and defense on Monday and Tuesday. The visit comes as Trump announced plans to sell NATO allies weaponry that NATO would then pass on to Ukraine.
I solved the NATO problem last week, and we had every country is now paying substantially more money, like from 2% to 5%, and they weren't paying the 2, but they're paying the 5.
Canada has pledged to reach NATO's 2% of GDP spending target by the end of the current fiscal year in March, half a decade earlier than what was previously estimated. NATO has unveiled a new 5% spending target to reach by 2035, something that Canada has agreed to. Meantime, Ukraine says it has killed members of Russia's secret service, wanted on suspicion of having killed a Ukrainian security service colonel last week. Ukraine's intelligence agency says the operation was aimed at arresting the Russian security service agents, who they believe were behind the killing of the colonel on Thursday. Russian authorities have made no immediate comment on the operation. Meanwhile, Russia continues to strike Ukraine in Kherson and Donetsk. Ukraine says at least 9 people were killed and 23 injured by Russian attacks in the last 24 hours. At least 8 people in Gaza are dead, mostly children, after an Israeli missile allegedly missed its target, hitting a water collection point. Israel's military says it intended to hit an Islamic Jihad militant in the area, but a malfunction caused the missile to fall, hitting a water distribution point in a refugee camp instead. More than a dozen people were injured, the IDF saying it regrets any harm to uninvolved civilians. Hours later, 12 people were killed by an Israeli airstrike on a market in Gaza City, including a prominent hospital consultant. It has been 35 years since the beginning of the Oka crisis, and a powwow was held this weekend to mark the anniversary. CTV's Sweeta Rassi has more on how people have been coming together in the years since the conflict.
Allison Deer attends the powwow in Ganawage every year.
Always an opportunity for us to bring people together, to share culture.
And she makes sure to bring her family along, including her granddaughter.
My whole life, I've been coming since I can remember.
As sounds of the drums fill the air and dancers begin to move with the rhythm, it's a celebration of Indigenous culture. But on Deer's mind, it takes her back 35 years to the Oka crisis. On July 11, 1990, the Sûreté du Québec and Mohawks of Ganusadage and Ganawage met at barricades, following plans to build a golf course on land known as the Pines. There was a 78-day standoff between police, the military, and the Mohawk community. Deer, who was 29 at the time, says she knew what she had to do.
Drop what you're doing. We are going to that front line.
Elder Joe Diom was a spokesperson during the crisis.
It's important that for our people to know about the history and understand that we can't allow this to happen again.
The powwow is the result of the Oka crisis, a way to build bridges between Indigenous and non-Indigenous people.
So we can always remember to bring people together, not divide.
I honestly think that's a wonderful thing that we get outsiders coming into our community to check everything out.
For the young ones who might not fully understand its significance, the powwow is a chance to learn about their traditions.
It's my regalia. I'm a smoke dancer.
And while many are dancing, no matter their age, one thing is clear. The resilience of the community is stronger than ever. Sweeta Rassi, CTV News.
An historic ship made a splash in Nova Scotia this weekend. A restored replica of a vessel closely linked to Scottish immigration to the province returned to the water. CTV's Callum Smith has that story.
There was a buzz in the air on Picto's waterfront. People near and far gathered on land and sea to witness a key piece of our province's immigration history make another splash. With all eyes on the replica ship Hector, there was a lot of waiting, all under close watch of the man in charge of the ship's restoration. A long time coming.
We started in 1989. After the launch in 2000, it fell in disrepair, and we started to repair it in 2020, but because of supply chain, COVID, hurricanes, we endured 3 hurricanes.
Putting things on hold, but building up anticipation for the launch. Sliding into the moment the crowd was eagerly awaiting.
When we saw it, it was just absolutely incredible. I had no idea it would be that spectacular.
Man, it was exciting, and it was so awesome to see, and I'm very proud of my uncle. He did a lot of hard work, and it all went well.
The project manager estimates the ship's value to be at around $8 million now and predicts 2 or 3 million more will be needed before it's finished.
This is definitely going to be a destination point in the town of Pictou. This should be the jewel in northeastern Nova Scotia.
This is pretty special. A lot of us with Scottish ancestry who live in northern Nova Scotia have a connection to the Hector. It's pretty cool. You see the thousands of people gathered here.
The ship was then hauled away to a nearby pier until a new wharf is built. There are big plans for the ship's completion, including a boat building school, sail training, and Indigenous courses.
It's just going to be a place where people can come and learn. The ship will be used for at-risk kids to go for sails, harbor tours, seniors, people that normally can't get out on a ship.
Callum Smith, CTV News, Pictou, Nova Scotia.
Straight ahead, highlighting a historic fair in Beachburg, now in its 169th year of family fun. Well, just a few minutes outside of Renfrew, you'll find Beachburg, home to a historic annual fair that's now in its 169th year, offering rides, games, and educational opportunities for kids of all ages. CTV's Josh Morano reports.
Big smile! It's a tradition rooted in history. 169 years of history, to be exact.
It's always fun to do and see every year.
The Beachburg Fair has become a yearly trip for the LaMarche family, bringing their twin boys for the past 4 years.
It's usually always a hit with the kids. They love coming back, always hitting up the roller coasters and Ferris wheel, all that kind of stuff.
Rides, carnival games, and being up close with livestock at the Discovery Barn, families say it's the perfect place to spend their weekend.
I was here probably 19 years ago with my grandson.
Wow.
And he really enjoyed it. We'll let her try it and see what she thinks of it.
It's seen some added attractions over the years, but the fair's goal is to encourage awareness of agriculture, especially for those living in rural communities.
Need to see all ages kind of learn about it, you know? And sometimes I feel like farming's kind of like a dying breed, so try to keep the next generation involved, keep the roots going.
We have over like 170 volunteers who make this fair possible. It would not happen without that manpower, and I think that's it right there. That's what people love, that it's genuine and full of heart, and it feels like home when you come here.
According to organizers, the fair welcomed over 5,000 people over the course of the weekend.
This year we added a modified truck and tractor pull on Thursday, and it really increased our numbers through our gates. On Friday we had our horse pull, and last night we had our demolition derby, which is a crowd favorite, and it was packed, and it always is.
For LaMarche, he says they'll be back again next year.
This is always fun for the community to come together. This is an event they've had for decades, so it's always nice to bring out everybody and have something like this.
Josh Morano, CTV News, Beachburg.
And for the most part in Beachburg, they had some nice weather, but you could see there at the very end, Mr. LaMarche getting a little rain on him, and that's kind of the story of today. Mother Nature keeping us on our toes as we take another look at the weather forecast, and a lot going on. We have that heat warning in effect here in Ottawa and in much of eastern Ontario. You can see that massive cell of weather activity moving over the capital around 2 until about 3:30, roughly, depending on which part of the city you are in. Out on the east coast, it's 20 degrees in St. John's, nice clear conditions. Same with Fredericton at 24, 22 currently in Halifax with some overcast sky. 25 right now in Ottawa, so we have cooled down from our daytime high of about 31 degrees, but it is still quite warm and humid. It's also hot in Toronto and Windsor at 30 degrees for both of those cities. Out on the prairies, Winnipeg 27, Regina at 25, and Saskatoon at 24 degrees. It's cooler in Edmonton. That is one of the cooler major cities in the country with a mix of sun and cloud, mostly rain coming down right now at 15 degrees. And for the final day of the Calgary Stampede, they're sitting at 24. It's 27 degrees out on the west coast in Vancouver, mostly sunny conditions out there. Getting down to 20 degrees here in Ottawa tonight. That chance of showers continuing, potential for another thunderstorm in the overnight hours potentially as well. So we'll keep an eye on that before things warm up to start the work week tomorrow at 31 degrees for the high. 32 is the high with clear conditions in the Ottawa Valley and along the Seaway, expecting things to warm up to about 29 degrees with that sun shining through, and they too have that chance of showers and a low tonight of 21 degrees. So we're going to have that warm start to our Monday. It's going to heat up from there for Tuesday with a high of 33, sticking around 33 for Wednesday and a 30% chance of showers, 60% chance of showers on Thursday with that high of 30. Then things will start to cool off, albeit just a little bit. Well, we're only weeks into summer, and we have had, as we just saw, some serious heat here in eastern Ontario. High temps mean air conditioners work overtime, and the pros have some tips to make sure those AC units continue working. Here's CTV's Christine Long.
Under a blazing noon sun, Samuel Girard is working on top of the roof at a school on L'Acadie Boulevard. As a technician with Guaranteed Industries, he's sweating so others don't.
Few minutes to check, and it could prevent a lot of damage.
His advice to keep your cool during hot days include taking care of your air conditioner, namely by cleaning your outdoor unit's air intake.
To clean the back of the unit, because in the summertime it's the pollen season, and the unit outside suck the air, the ambient air, and it will cover the condenser coil. So very important. This one is very easy to clean.
He says all you need is a simple garden hose and not a pressure washer to rinse away any buildup of airborne bits.
This one's very easy. You just wash it off from top to bottom.
But he says never spray the fan that blows the air.
Put water straight to the blower. Don't do it at all. We don't want to damage unbalancing the blower.
Indoor units also need their filter cleaned every 2 months. Girard shows how the filters can be removed, washed, and replaced.
Slide it here. Put it nicely here. And the second one.
With that done, watch out for any error code on your unit's display and check for water accumulation.
You can see there's already a drop of water here because the drain is blocked also.
A blocked drain can be blown clean with compressed air because if not,
it will become a block of ice. The unit gonna stop and it's gonna leak on the ground because the ice sometimes it goes over.
That might be the time to call a technician. He says a little maintenance can help you get the most out of your machine.
The compressor is gone because a lack of maintenance. We're going to be able to see that it burned for a certain reason and you can lose the warranty.
Plus, he adds, don't crank up the unit too much. On a hot day, your AC has to work extra hard to cool you off, and that can lead to problems. Christine Long, CTV News.
Our concern is that these children aren't getting access to health care when they sustain a concussion.
When we come back, details on a new study that suggests children from lower socioeconomic backgrounds are less likely to go to the hospital after suffering a concussion. Canadian musician Matthew Good has canceled his shows in the United States in protest against the Donald Trump administration. The 54-year-old from Burnaby, BC, took to social media to slam Trump, writing, "To my U.S. fans and friends, I can't in good conscience carry out my dates this summer in your country." Good added, "Every week that goes by, I have a deeper disdain for what's going on there politically, and I can't stand by and be quiet while our amazing country is bullied into walking away from billions in needed revenue, constantly left wondering if we actually have a partner or an enemy to the south." And one of the most famous concerts ever was held 40 years ago today. Queen delivering that iconic performance at London's Wembley Stadium as part of Live Aid. The event was organized to raise money for famine relief in Africa. In addition to stage in London, there were also performances in Philadelphia. The event, which lasted for 16 hours, raised $125 million. A new study from York University suggests children from lower socioeconomic backgrounds are less likely to go to hospital after suffering from a concussion. CTV's health reporter Pauline Chan has those details.
Falls and sports are the most common causes of childhood concussions, but a study looking at concussions in kids up to age 19 shows a difference in who shows up at the emergency room.
We found that children with the highest material deprivation, so the lowest income children, had a much lower rate of concussion than children from wealthier backgrounds. And so that was of concern to us.
Material deprivation included factors like household income, unemployment, single parents, and parents without a high school diploma. York University professor Alison McPherson studied the decade from 2010 to 2020.
The rate of injury between the quintiles was consistent even in 2020 when organized sports were largely canceled because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Our concern is that these children aren't getting access to health care when they sustain a concussion.
McPherson says their numbers show children from higher income families were 1.5 to 1.8 times more likely to visit an emergency department than kids from low income families. She hopes their findings will put a spotlight on raising concussion awareness in certain groups.
But it might be worth it to put a special focus on schools in low-income neighborhoods and to try and gather some of the information in languages other than English in case the parents are not able to read English and French.
Children aged 10 to 19 are the most likely to suffer a concussion. The results of the study appear in the journal Injury Prevention. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Still ahead, there's a new men's champion at Wimbledon, how Yannick Skinner earned his first title, the oldest tennis tournament in the world. Tonight's big picture, at least 8 people were injured during the final bull run of this year's festival in Spain. Bulls charged through the Spanish town's narrow streets in a mad 875-meter dash. 6 of the injured were taken to hospital. Thousands of tourists flock from across the world for this event every single year to run alongside locals over the 7-day festival. Turning now to some other stories that you need to know. It's day 4 of Ottawa Bluesfest. And that's a soundbite of last night's Bluesfest headliner, Turnstile. Thousands of fans flocking to Le Breton Flats once again for, that was day 3 of the music festival. Tonight expected to be one of the busiest nights when Shania Twain returns to the Bluesfest main stage.
So they load up again after the penalty. Brown, pump fake, steps up, end zone toss, touchdown.
And the Ottawa Red Blacks and Hamilton Tiger Cats playing in the first game of a home-at-home series over the next couple of weeks. In the hammer last night, it was Red Blacks rookie Keelan White with his first career CFL touchdown, putting Ottawa on the board in the first quarter, but the Ticats would claw back to win this one 23-20. These two teams will face off again next week on Sunday at TD Place. Italian tennis star Jannik Sinner celebrated his first victory at Wimbledon today. The #1 seeded Sinner battled #2 seed Carlos Alcaraz on the grass court. And after a tense 4 sets, he won the men's final. The victory also making Sinner the first Italian to win the men's singles Wimbledon title. And a reminder for drivers, a section of the Queen Elizabeth driveway will be closed to drivers for the next 3 months due to construction. The National Capital Commission says the closure will apply to the section between Pretoria Avenue and 5th Avenue starting on Monday. It's to accommodate rehabilitation work on the Patterson Creek Bridge. The road will be closed to cars until October 31st. Pedestrians and cyclists will have access to the road. After the break, we'll take you from the sky to the sea. How an Olympic surfer made a splashy entrance to a pretty incredible competition this weekend. And here's a live look through our Centennial Glass Skycam. It's currently 25 degrees.
Hairstyles, courtesy of Salon Fiorella.
Here's a recap of the top local stories we're following right now.
Seeing that it's increasing the amount of people who are coming before Bluesfest, so some of them come for a nice margarita or a little bite to eat before they're going to the concert.
Bluesfest bringing in a big business boost ahead of probably the biggest night of the festival. Shania Twain headlining this evening. A heat warning remains in place here in the capital, but that was not enough to stop a record-breaking number of runners taking part in this year's Hintenburg 5K race.
The oldest athletes, so whoever wins in the oldest category, will actually get a spot in the CTFL next year.
And the top track and field athletes in Eastern Ontario and across Canada put their skills to the test at Mooney's Bay for the Canadian Track and Field League trials. And it was a hot one for them, and spoiler alert, not much relief on the way. Waking up to about 20 degrees, clear conditions, and that sets the pace for the majority of your work week. 31 is the high for tomorrow, 33 with clear conditions for Tuesday, 33 again on Wednesday, and a chance of showers, a 30% chance that is. 60% chance on Thursday, still a high of 30. Then things will start to taper off temperature-wise into next weekend. So, okay, time now to see what our news team will be working on for tonight. Kimberly Fowler's here.
Well, Austin, let's go, girls. We'll be checking out a Bluesfest. Shania set to take the stage around 9 o'clock tonight, so we'll check and see how things are going over at Le Breton Flats. Plus, Canada's largest cemetery recently launched a new interactive map. The technology allows people to easily find their loved ones as well as other notable grave sites. CTV's Olivia O'Malley will have more from the Notre-Dame-des-Neiges Cemetery in Montreal. And you can get the news anytime, anywhere at ctvnewsottawa.ca. Join me tonight for CTV News at 11:30.
Thanks for that. I don't know why that caught me off guard so much.
I don't know.
That wasn't a laugh for the cameras. Yeah, I don't know. You threw me for a loop. Okay, finally for us tonight, possibly the world's coolest man making quite a splash.
Well, you might think surfing and skydiving don't go together, but one Olympic athlete is proving you can do both.
Talk about making an entrance. That's Matt McGilvery. He skydived into Jeffreys Bay yesterday before the opening round at the J-Bay Open. The Olympic athlete dropped 7,500 feet with his suit and vest on. And then he did that. It got right into a barrel. He did end up losing the opening and elimination rounds, unfortunately. But, I mean, based on the entrance, he's got to be a winner in some category.
Absolutely. Very cool. Two things that I would like to do in life, surfing and skydiving. He did it in, like, what, an hour?
No kidding. I mean, that's like, you can just bet the executives at Red Bull are watching this guy if they haven't signed him already. Oh, he's our guy.
Yeah.
That's our guy.
We'll see more of him, for sure.
Yeah. And that's our newscast. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good night.